A Bit O' Love. By John Galsworthy. A Bit O' Love. Act 1. It is Ascension Day in a village of the West. In the low-paneled hall sitting-room of the Burlecombes' farmhouse on the village green, Michael Strangway, a clerical collar round his throat and a dark Norfolk jacket on his back, is playing the flute before a very large framed photograph of a woman, which is the only picture on the walls. His age is about 35, his figure thin and very upright, and his clean-shorn face thin, upright, narrow, with long and rather pointed ears. His dark hair is brushed in a coxcomb off his forehead. A faint smile hovers about his lips that nature has made rather full and he has made thin, as though keeping a hard secret. But his bright gray eyes, dark round the rim, look out and upwards almost as if he were being crucified. There is something about the whole of him that makes him seem not quite present. A gentle creature burnt within. A low broad window above a window seat forms the background to his figure, and through its lattice panes are seen the outer gate and yew trees of a churchyard and the porch of a church, bathed in May sunlight. The front door, at right angles to the window seat, leads to the village green, and a door on the left into the house. It is the third movement of Veracini's violin sonata that Strangway plays. His back is turned to the door into the house, and he does not hear when it is opened, and Ivy Burlecombe, the farmer's daughter, a girl of 14, small and quiet as a mouse, comes in, a prayer book in one hand, and in the other a glass of water, with wild orchis and a bit of deep pink hawthorn. She sits down on the window seat, and having opened her book, sniffs at the flowers. Coming to the end of the movement, Strangway stops, and looking up at the face on the wall, heaves a long sigh. Ivy. From the seat, I pick these for you, Mr. Strangway. Strangway. Turning with a start, ah. Ivy. Thank you. He puts his flute down on a chair against the far wall. Where are the others? As he speaks, Gladys Fremen, a dark gypsyish girl, and Connie Trustaford, a fair, stolid, blue-eyed Saxon, both about 16, come in through the front door, behind which they have evidently been listening. They too have prayer books in their hands. They sidle past Ivy, and also sit down under the window. Gladys. Mercy's comin', Mr. Strangway. Strangway. Good morning, Gladys. Good morning, Connie. He turns to a bookcase on a table against the far wall, and taking out a book, finds his place in it. While he stands thus with his back to the girls, Mercy Jolland comes in from the green. She also is about 16, with fair hair and china blue eyes. She glides in quickly, hiding something behind her, and sits down on the seat next the door. And at once there is a whispering. Strangway. Turning to them, good morning, Mercy. Mercy. Good morning, Mr. Strangway. Strangway. Now, yesterday I was telling you what our Lord's coming meant to the world. I want you to understand that before he came there wasn't really love, as we know it. I don't mean to say that there weren't many good people, but there wasn't love for the sake of loving. Do you think you understand what I mean? Mercy fidgets. Gladys's eyes are following a fly. Ivy. Yes, Mr. Strangway. Strangway. It isn't enough to love people because they're good to you, or because in some way or other you're going to get something by it. We have to love because we love loving. That's the great thing. Without that we're nothing but pagans. Gladys. Please, what is pagans? Strangway. That's what the first Christians called the people who lived in the villages and were not yet Christians, Gladys. Mercy. We live in a village, but we're Christians. Strangway. With a smile, yes, Mercy, and what is a Christian? Mercy kicks a foot sideways against her neighbor, frowns over her china blare eyes, is silent, then, as his question passes on, makes a quick little face, wriggles, and looks behind her. Strangway. Ivy? Ivy. 'Tis a man, Strangway. Yes, Connie? Connie. Who speaks rather thickly, as if she had a permanent slight cold. Please, Mr. Strangway, 'tis a man what goes to church. Gladys. He has to be baptized, and confirmed, and buried. Ivy. 'Tis a man was good and. Gladys. He don't drink, and he don't beat his horses, and he don't hit back. Mercy. Whispering, 'Tisn't your turn. To Strangway, 'tis a man like us. Ivy. I know what Mrs. Strangway said it was, 'cause I asked her once, before she went away. Strangway. Startled, yes? Ivy. She said it was a man who forgave everything. Strangway. Ah. The note of a cuckoo comes traveling. The girls are gazing at Strangway, who seems to have gone off into a dream. They begin to fidget and whisper. Connie. Please, Mr. Strangway, father says if you hit a man and he don't hit you back, he's no good at all. Mercy. When Tommy Morse wouldn't fight, us pinched him, he did squeal. She giggles, made me laugh. Strangway. Did I ever tell you about St. Francis of Assisi? Ivy. Clasping her hands, no. Strangway. Well, he was the best Christian, I think, that ever lived, simply full of love and joy. Ivy. I expect he's dead. Strangway. About 700 years, Ivy. Ivy. Softly, oh. Strangway. Everything to him was brother or sister, the sun and the moon, and all that was poor and weak and sad, and animals and birds, so that they even used to follow him about. Mercy. I know. He had crumbs in his pocket. Strangway. No, he had love in his eyes. Ivy. 'Tis like about Orpheus, that you told us. Strangway. Ah. But St. Francis was a Christian, and Orpheus was a pagan. Ivy. Oh. Strangway. Orpheus drew everything after him with music, St. Francis by love. Ivy. Perhaps it was the same, really. Strangway. Looking at his flute, perhaps it was, Ivy. GLADYS. Did he have a flute like you? Ivy. The flowers smell sweeter when they hear music, they do. She holds up the glass of flowers. Strangway. Touching one of the orchis, what's the name of this one? The girls cluster, save Mercy, who is taking a stealthy interest in what she has behind her. Connie. We call it a cuckoo, Mr. Strangway. GLADYS. 'Tis awful common down by the streams. We've got one meadow where 'tis so thick almost as the Goldie cups. Strangway. Odd. I've never noticed it. Ivy. Please, Mr. Strangway, you don't notice when you're walkin', you go along like this. She holds up her face as one looking at the sky. Strangway. Bad as that, Ivy? Ivy. Mrs. Strangway often used to pick it last spring. Strangway. Did she? Did she? He has gone off again into a kind of dream. Mercy. I like being confirmed. Strangway. Ah. Yes. Now, what's that behind you, Mercy? Mercy. Engagingly producing a cage a little bigger than a mousetrap, containing a skylark, my skylark. Strangway. What? Mercy. It can fly, but we're going to clip its wings. Bobby caught it. Strangway. How long ago? Mercy. Conscious of impending disaster yesterday. Strangway. White hot, give me the cage. Mercy. Puckering, I want my skylark. As he steps up to her and takes the cage, thoroughly alarmed, I gave Bobby threepence for it. Strangway. Producing a sixpence, there. Mercy. Throwing it down passionately, I want my skylark. Strangway. God made this poor bird for the sky and the grass. And you put it in that. Never cage any wild thing. Never. Mercy. Faint and sullen, I want my skylark. Strangway. Taking the cage to the door, no. He holds up the cage and opens it, off you go, poor thing. The bird flies out and away. The girls watch with round eyes the fling up of his arm, and the freed bird flying away. Ivy. I'm glad. Mercy kicks her viciously and sobs. Strangway comes from the door, looks at Mercy sobbing, and suddenly clasps his head. The girls watch him with a queer mixture of wonder, alarm, and disapproval. GLADYS. Whispering, Don't cry, Mercy. Bobby'll soon catch you another. Strangway has dropped his hands, and is looking again at Mercy. Ivy sits with hands clasped, gazing at Strangway. Mercy continues her artificial sobbing. Strangway. Quietly, the class is over for today. He goes up to Mercy, and holds out his hand. She does not take it, and runs out knuckling her eyes. Strangway turns on his heel and goes into the house. Connie. 'Twasn't his bird. Ivy. Skylarks belong to the sky. Mr. Strangway said so? Gladys. Not when they am caught, they don't. Ivy. They do. Connie. 'Twas her bird. Ivy. He gave her 6pence for it. Gladys. She didn't take it. Connie. There it is on the ground. Ivy. She might have. Gladys. He'll perhaps take my squirrel, too. Ivy. The bird sang, I 'eard it. Right up in the sky. It wouldn't have sanged if it weren't glad. Gladys. Well, Mercy cried. Ivy. I don't care. Gladys. 'Tis a shame. And I know something. Mrs. Strangway's at Durford. Connie. She's never. Gladys. I saw her yesterday. And if she's there, she ought to be here. I told Mother, and she said, You mind your business. And when she goes into market tomorrow, she am going to see. And if she's really there, Mother says 'tis a fine to do in a paper scandal. So I know a lot more than you do. Ivy stares at her. Connie. Mrs. Strangway told Mother she was going to France for the winter because her mother was ill. Gladys. 'Tisn't winter now, Ascension Day. I saw her cumin out o' Dr. Desert's house. I know 'twas her because she had on a blue dress and a proud look. Mother says the doctor come over here too often before Mrs. Strangway went away, just afore Christmas. They was old sweethearts before she married Mr. Strangway. To Ivy, 'twas your mother told Mother that. Ivy gazes at them more and more wide-eyed. Connie. Father says if Mrs. Bradmere and the old rector knew about the doctor, they wouldn't have a Mr. Strangway heir for curate any longer, because Mother says it takes more'n a year for a good wife to leave her husband, and he's so fond of her. But 'tisn't no business of ours, Father says. Gladys. Mother says so too. She's praper set against gossip. She'll know all about it tomorrow after market. Ivy. Stamping her foot, I don't want to hear nothin' at all. I don't, and I won't. A rather shamefaced silence falls on the girls. Gladys. In a quick whisper, arst Mrs. Burlacombe. There enters from the house a stout motherly woman with a round grey eye and very red cheeks. Mrs. Burlacombe. Ivy, take Mr. Strangway his ink, or we'll never eve no sermon tonight. He am in his thinkin' box, but 'tis not a bit o' use him thinkin' without his ink. She hands her daughter an ink pot and blotting pad. Ivy takes them and goes out. Whatever's this? She picks up the little bird cage. Gladys. 'Tis Mercy Jarlin's. Mr. Strangway let her skylark go. Mrs. Burlacombe. Ah. Did he now? Serve, right, bring in an eat-hen bird to confirmation class. Connie. I'll take it to her. Mrs. Burlacombe. No, you leave it there, and let Mr. Strangway do what he likes with it. Bring in a bird like that. Well, I never. The girls, perceiving that they have lighted on stony soil, look at each other and slide towards the door. Mrs. Burlacombe. Yes, you just be off, and think on what you've been told in class, and be like Christians, that's good maids. And don't you come no more in the avenin's dancin' them eat-hen dances in my barn, neither, till after you am confirmed. 'Tisn't right. I've told Ivy I won't have it. Connie. Mr. Strangway don't mind, he likes us to. 'Twas Mrs. Strangway began teachin' us. He's goin' to give a prize. Mrs. Burlacombe. You just do what I tell you and never mind Mr. Strangway. He am too kind to everyone. Do you think I don't know how gels ought to be before confirmation? You be like I did. Now, go on. Shoo! She hustles them out, rather as she might hustle her chickens, and begins tidying the room. There comes a wandering figure to the open window. It is that of a man of about 35, of feeble gait, leaning the weight of all one side of him on a stick. His dark face, with black hair, one lock of which has gone white, was evidently once that of an ardent man. Now it is slack, weakly smiling, and the brown eyes are lost, and seem always to be asking something to which there is no answer. Mrs. Burlacombe, with that forced cheerfulness always assumed in the face of too great misfortune. Well, Jim? Better? At the faint brightening of the smile, that's right. You am gettin' on bravely. Want parson? Jim, nodding and smiling, and speaking slowly, I want to tell un about my cat. His face loses its smile. Mrs. Burlacombe. Why? What's she been doin' then? Mr. Strangway's busy. Won't I do? Jim, shaking his head, no, I want to tell him. Mrs. Burlacombe. Whatever she been doin'? Havin' kittens? Jim. No, she am lost. Mrs. Burlacombe. Dearie me. Ah. She am not lost. Cats be like maids, they must get out a bit. Jim. She am lost. Maybe he'll know where she'll be. Mrs. Burlacombe. Well, well. I'll go and find him. Jim. He's a good man. He's very good. Mrs. Burlacombe. That's certain zur. Strangway. Entering from the house, Mrs. Burlacombe, I can't think where I've put my book on St. Francis, the large, squarish, pale blue one. Mrs. Burlacombe. Ah. There now. I knew there was something on me mind. Miss Willis she came in yesterday afternoon when you was out, to borrow it. Oh. Yes, I said, I'm zur Mr. Strangway'll lend it ye. Now think o' that. Strangway. Of course, Mrs. Burlacombe, very glad she's got it. Mrs. Burlacombe. Ah. But that's not all. When I tuck it up there come out a whole flutter o' little bits o' paper wy little rhymes on 'em, same as I see you writin'. Ah. My goodness. I says to myself, Mr. Strangway wouldn't want no one seein' them. Strangway. Dear me. No, certainly not. Mrs. Burlacombe. And so I put 'em in your secretary. Strangway. My Yes. Thank you, yes. Mrs. Burlacombe. But I'll go over and get the book for you. 'T won't take me 'alf a minute. She goes out onto the green. Jim Bear has come in. Strangway. Gently, well, Jim? Jim. My cat's lost. Strangway. Lost? Jim. Day before yesterday. She am not come back. They've shot her, I think, or she am caught in one o' they rabbit traps. Strangway. Oh. No, my dear fellow, she'll come back. I'll speak to Sir Herbert's keepers. Jim. Yes, sir. I feel lonesome without her. Strangway. With a faint smile, more to himself than to Jim, lonesome. Yes. That's bad, Jim. That's bad. Jim. I miss her when I sits then in the Avenue. Strangway. The evenings, they're the worst, and when the blackbirds sing in the morning. Jim. She used to lie on my bed, ye know, sir. Strangway turns his face away, contracted with pain. She am like a Christian. Strangway. The beasts are. Jim. There's plenty folk ain't alf as Christian as her be. Strangway. Well, dear Jim, I'll do my very best. And any time you're lonely, come up, and I'll play the flute to you. Jim. Wriggling slightly, no, sir. Thank ye, sir. Strangway. What, don't you like music? Jim. Yes, sir. A figure passes the window. Seeing it, he says with his slow smile, "Ere's Mrs. Bradmere, comin' from the rectory." With queer malice, she don't like cats. But she am a cat herself, I think. Strangway. With his smile, Jim. Jim. She am always tellin' me I'm lookin' better. I'm not better, sir. Strangway. That's her kindness. Jim. I don't think it is. 'Tis laziness, and Ave in her own way. She am very fond of her own way. A knock on the door cuts off his speech. Following closely on the knock, as though no doors were licensed to be closed against her, a gray-haired lady enters, a capable, broad-faced woman of 70, whose every tone and movement exhales authority. With a nod and a good morning, to Strangway she turns that face to Jim Bear. Mrs. Bradmere, ah! Jim, you're looking better. Jim Bear shakes his head. Mrs. Bradmere. Oh. Yes, you are. Getting on splendidly. And now, I just want to speak to Mr. Strangway. Jim Bear touches his forelock, and slowly, leaning on his stick, goes out. Mrs. Bradmere. Waiting for the door to close, you know how that came on him? Caught the girl he was engaged to, one night, with another man, the rage broke something here. She touches her forehead, for years ago. Strangway. Poor fellow. Mrs. Bradmere. Looking at him sharply, is your wife back? Strangway. Starting, no. Mrs. Bradmere. By the way, poor Mrs. Kramer, is she any better? Strangway. No, going fast, wonderful, so patient. Mrs. Bradmere. With gruff sympathy, yes. They know how to die. Wide another sharp look at him. D'you expect your wife soon? Strangway. I hope so. Mrs. Bradmere. So do I. The sooner the better. Strangway. Shrinking. I trust the rector's not suffering so much this morning? Mrs. Bradmere. Thank you. His foot's very bad. As she speaks, Mrs. Burlacombe returns with a large pale blue book in her beard. Mrs. Burlacombe. Good day, mm. Taking the book across to Strangway, Miss Willie, she says she am very sorry, sir. Strangway. She was very welcome, Mrs. Burlacombe. To Mrs. Burlacombe, forgive me, my sermon. He goes into the house. The two women graze after him. Then, at once, as it were, draw into themselves, as if preparing for an encounter, and yet seem to expand as if losing the need for restraint. Mrs. Bradmere. Abruptly, he misses his wife very much, I'm afraid. Mrs. Burlacombe. Ah. Don't he? Poor dear man, he keeps a terrible tight and over himself, but 'tis suthin cruel the way he walks about at night. He am just like a cow when its calves weaned. 'T has gone to me truly to see him these months past. T'other day when I went up to do his room, I yeard a noise like this, she sniffs, and there he was at the wardrobe, snuffin' at her things. I did never think a man could care for a woman so much as that. Mrs. Bradmere. Mrs. Burlacombe. 'Tis funny restin' ye come in air for quiet after that tearin' great London parish. Ye am terrible absent-minded too, don't take no interest in his food. Yesterday, goin' on for 1 o'clock, he says to me, I expect 'tis nearly breakfast time, Mrs. Burlacombe. Ed at it twice already. Mrs. Bradmere. Twice. Nonsense. Mrs. Burlacombe. Zuili. I give him a nummet afore he gets up, and he as his breakfast reg'lar at 9. Must feed un up. He am on his feet all day, gain to see folk that wouldn't want to see an angel, they're that busy, and when he comes in he'll play his flute there. Hem wastin' away for want of his wife. That's what 'tis. And him so sweet-spoken too, 'tis a pleasure to hear him, never says a word. Mrs. Bradmere. Yes, that's the kind of man who gets treated badly. I'm afraid she's not worthy of him, Mrs. Burlacombe. Mrs. Burlacombe. Plaiting her apron, 'tisn't for me to say that. She am a very pleasant lady. Mrs. Bradmere too pleasant. What's this story about her being seen in Derford? Mrs. Burlacombe. Ah. I do never hear no gossip, Mrs. Bradmere. Drilly, of course not. But you see the rector wishes to know. Mrs. Burlacombe. Flustered, well, folk will talk. But as I says to Burlacombe, 'tis paltry, I says, and they only married 18 months, and Mr. Strangway so devoted like. 'Tis nothing but love, with him. Mrs. Bradmere. Come, Mrs. Burlacombe. There's pussavantin' folk as set and gossip the feathers off an angel. But I do never listen. Mrs. Bradmere. Now then, Mrs. Burlacombe? Mrs. Burlacombe. Well, they do say as how Dr. Dessart over to Derford and Mrs. Strangway was sweethearts afore she were married. Mrs. Bradmere. I knew that. Who was it saw her coming out of Dr. Dessart's house yesterday? Mrs. Burlacombe. In a manner of spoken tes Mrs. Fremen that says a Gladys seen her. Mrs. Bradmere. That child's got an eye like a hawk. Mrs. Burlacombe. 'Tes wonderful how things do spread. 'Tesn't as if us gossiped. Do seem to grow like in the nate. Mrs. Bradmere, to herself, I never lied her. That Riviera excuse, Mrs. Burlacombe, very convenient things, sick mothers. Mr. Strangway doesn't know? Mrs. Burlacombe. The Lord forbid! 'Twid sin and crazy, I think. For all he am so moony and gentle-like, I think he am a terrible passionate man inside. He va got a saint in him, for zur, but 'tes only aufbaked, in a manner of spoken. Mrs. Bradmere. I shall go and see Mrs. Fremen. There's been too much of this gossip all the winter. Mrs. Burlacombe. 'Tes unfortunate like 'tes the Fremens. Fremen he am a gypsy sort of a feller, and he never forgiven Mr. Strangway for spoken to him about the way he trates his orzes. Mrs. Bradmere. Ah, I'm afraid Mr. Strangway's not too discreet when his feelings are touched. Mrs. Burlacombe. Eva got an earth so big as the full moon. But 'tes no use expecting too much o' this world. 'Tes a funny place, after that. Mrs. Bradmere. Yes, Mrs. Burlacombe, and I shall give some of these good people a rare rap over the knuckles for their want of charity. For all they look as if butter wouldn't melt in their mouths, they're an unchristian lot. Looking very directly at Mrs. Burlacombe, it's lucky we've some hold over the village. I'm not going to have scandal. I shall speak to Sir Herbert, and he and the rector will take steps. Mrs. Burlacombe. With covert malice, ah! I do hope to upset the rector, and his feet so poptious. Mrs. Bradmere. Grimly, his foot'll be sound enough to come down sharp. By the way, will you send me a duck up to the rectory? Mrs. Burlacombe. Glad to get away, Zurli at once. I've some lovely fat birds. She goes into the house. Mrs. Bradmere. Old pusscat. She turns to go, and in the doorway encounters a very little, red-cheeked girl in a peacock blue cap and pink frock, who curtsies stolidly. Mrs. Bradmere. Well, Tibby Jarland, what do you want here? Always sucking something, aren't you? Getting no reply from Tibby Jarland, she passes out. Tibby comes in, looks round, takes a large sweet out of her mouth, contemplates it, and puts it back again. Then, in a perfunctory and very stolid fashion, she looks about the floor, as if she had been told to find something. While she is finding nothing and sucking her sweet, her sister Mercy comes in furtively, still frowning and vindictive. Mercy. What? Haven't you found it, Tibby? Get along with ye, then. She accelerates the stolid Tissy's departure with a smack, searches under the seat, finds and picks up the deserted sixpence. Then very quickly she goes to the door, but it is opened before she reaches it, and finding herself caught, she slips behind the chintz window curtain. A woman has entered, who is clearly the original of the large photograph. She is not strictly pretty, but there is charm in her pale, resolute face, with its mocking lips, flexible brows, and greenish eyes, whose lids, square above them, have short, dark lashes. She is dressed in blue, and her fair hair is coiled up under a cap and motor veil. She comes in swiftly, and closes the door behind her, becomes irresolute, then, suddenly deciding, moves towards the door into the house. Mercy slips from behind her curtain to make off, but at that moment the door into the house is opened, and she has at once to slip back again into covert. It is Ivy who has appeared. Ivy. Amazed, oh! Mrs. Strangway. Evidently disconcerted by this appearance, Beatrice Strangway pulls herself together and confronts the child with a smile. Beatrice. Well, Ivy, you've grown. You didn't expect me, did you? Ivy. No, Mrs. Strangway, but I hoped you'd be comin' soon. Beatrice. Ah. Yes. Is Mr. Strangway in? Ivy. Hypnotized by those faintly smiling lips, yes, oh yes. He's right in his sermon in the little room. He will be glad. Beatrice. Going a little closer, and never taking her eyes off the child, yes. Now, Ivy, will you do something for me? Ivy. Fluttering, oh yes, Mrs. Strangway. Beatrice. Quite sure. Ivy. Oh yes. Beatrice. Are you old enough to keep a secret? Ivy. Nodding, I'm 14 now. Beatrice. Well then, I don't want anybody but Mr. Strangway to know I've been here. Nobody, not even your mother. D'you understand? Ivy. Troubled, no. Only, I can keep a secret. Beatrice. Mind, if anybody hears, it will hurt Mr. Strangway. Ivy. Oh. I wouldn't hurt him. Must you go away again? Trembling towards her. I wish you are going to stay. And perhaps someone has seen you, they. Beatrice. Hastily, no, no one. I came motoring, like this. She moves her veil to show how it can conceal her face, and I came straight down the little lane, and through the barn, across the yard. Ivy. Timidly, people do see a lot. Beatrice. Still with that hovering smile, I know, but, now go and tell him quickly and quietly. Ivy. Stopping at the door, mother's plucking a duck. Only please, Mrs. Strangway, if she comes in even after you've gone, she'll know, because you always have that particular nice scent. Beatrice. Thank you, my child. I'll see to that. Ivy looks at her as if she would speak again, then turns suddenly, and goes out. Beatrice's face darkens, she shivers. Taking out a little cigarette case, she lights a cigarette, and watches the puffs of smoke wreath out her and die away. The frightened Mercy peers out, spying for a chance to escape. Then from the house Strangway comes in. All his dreaminess is gone. Strangway. Thank God. He stops at the look on her face. I don't understand, though. I thought you were still out there. Beatrice. Letting her cigarette fall, and putting her foot on it, no. Strangway, you're staying? Oh. Beatrice, come. We'll get away from here at once, as far, anywhere you like. Oh. My darling, only come. If you knew. Beatrice. It's no good, Michael. I've tried and tried. Strangway. Not. Then why? Beatrice. You said when you were right away, I've waited. Beatrice. I know. It's cruel, it's horrible. But I told you not to hope, Michael. I've done my best. All these months at Mentone, I've been wondering why I ever let you marry me, when that feeling wasn't dead. Strangway. You can't have come back just to leave me again? Beatrice. When you let me go out there with Mother, I did think I would be able, and I had begun, and then, spring came. Strangway. Spring came here too. Never so, aching. Beatrice, can't you? Beatrice. I've something to say. Strangway. No. 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 Beatrice. You see, I've fallen. Strangway. Ah. In a twice sharpened by pain, why, in the name of mercy, come here to tell me that? Was he out there then? Beatrice. I came straight back to him. Strangway. To Durford? Beatrice. To the Crossway Hotel, miles out, in my own name. They don't know me there. I told you not to hope, Michael. I've done my best, I swear it. Strangway. My God! Beatrice. It was your God that brought us to live near him. Strangway. Why have you come to me like this? Beatrice. To know what you're going to do. Are you going to divorce me? We're in your power. Don't divorce me, doctor and patient, you must know, it ruins him. He'll lose everything. He'd be disqualified, and he hasn't a penny without his work. Strangway. Why should I spare him? Beatrice. Michael, I came to beg. It's hard. Strangway. No, don't beg. I can't stand it. She shakes her head. Beatrice. Recovering her pride, what are you going to do, then? Keep us apart by the threat of a divorce? Starve us, imprison us? Cage me up here with you? I'm not brute enough to ruin him. Strangway. Heaven! Beatrice. I never really stopped loving him. I never loved you, Michael. Strangway. Stunned, is that true? Beatrice bends her head. Never loved me? Not that night, on the river, not? Beatrice. Under her breath, no. Strangway. Were you lying to me then? Kissing me, and hating me? Beatrice. One doesn't hate men like you, but it wasn't love. Strangway. Why did you tell me it was? Beatrice. Yes. That was the worst thing I've ever done. Strangway. Do you think I would have married you? I would have burned first. I never dreamed you didn't. I swear it. Beatrice. Very low, forget it. Strangway. Did he try to get you away from me? Beatrice gives him a swift look. Tell me the truth. Beatrice. No, it was I alone. But he loves me. Strangway. One does not easily know love, it seems. But her smile, faint, mysterious, pitying, is enough, and he turns away from her. Beatrice. It was cruel to come, I know. For me, too. But I couldn't write. I had to know. Strangway. Never loved me? Never loved me? That night at Tregeron? At the look on her face, you might have told me before you went away. Why keep me all these? Beatrice. I meant to forget him again. I did mean to. I thought I could get back to what I was when I married you, but you see, what a girl can do, a woman that's been married can't. Strangway. Then it was I. My kisses that. He laughs. How did you stand them? His eyes dart at her face. Imagination helped you, perhaps. Beatrice. Michael, don't. And oh, don't make a public thing of it. You needn't be afraid I shall have too good a time. He stays quite still and silent, and that which is writhing in him makes his face so strange that Beatrice stands aghast. At last she goes stumbling on in speech. If ever you want to marry someone else, then, of course, that's only fair, ruin or not. But till then, he's leaving Durford, going to Brighton. No one need know. And you, this isn't the only parish in the world. Strangway. Quietly, you asked me to help you live in secret with another man? Beatrice. I ask for mercy. Strangway. As to himself, what am I to do? Beatrice. What you feel in the bottom of your heart. Strangway. You ask me to help you live in sin? Beatrice. To let me go out of your life. You've only to do nothing. He goes slowly, close to her. Strangway. I want you. Come back to me. Beatrice, come back. Beatrice. It would be torture now. Strangway. Writhing, oh. Beatrice. Whatever's in your heart, do. Strangway. You'd come back to me sooner than ruin him? Would you? Beatrice. I can't bring him harm. Strangway. Turning away, God, if there be one, help me. He stands leaning his forehead against the window. Suddenly his glance falls on the little bird cage, still lying on the window seat. Never cage any wild thing. He gives a laugh that is half a sob, then, turning to the door, says in a low voice, Go. Go please, quickly. Do what you will. I won't hurt you, can't, but do. He opens the door. Beatrice. Greatly moved, thank you. She passes him with her head down, and goes out quickly. Strangway stands unconsciously tearing at the little birdcage. And while he tears at it, he utters a moaning sound. The terrified Mercy, peering from behind the curtain, and watching her chance, slips to the still open door, but in her haste and fright she knocks against it, and Strangway sees her. Before he can stop her, she has fled out onto the green and away. While he stands there, paralyzed, the door from the house is opened, and Mrs. Burlacombe approaches him in a queer, hushed way. Mrs. Burlacombe. Her eyes mechanically fixed on the twisted birdcage in his hands. "'Tis poor Sue Kramer, sir. I didn't hardly think she'd last through the mornin'. And sure enough she passed away. Seeing that he has not taken in her words, Mr. Strangway, you feelin' giddy? Strangway. No, no. What was it? You said? Mrs. Burlacombe. 'Tes Jack Kramer. His wife's gone. In a terrible way. 'Tes only you, yes, can do him any good. He in the kitchen. Strangway. Kramer? Yes. Of course. Let him. Mrs. Burlacombe. Still staring at the twisted cage. You ain't wantin' that, 'tes all twizzled. She takes it from him. Sure you not feelin' your yady? Strangway. With a resolute effort, no. Mrs. Burlacombe. Doubtfully, I'll send him in, then. She goes. When she is gone, Strangway passes his handkerchief across his forehead, and his lips move fast. He is standing motionless when Kramer, a big man in laborer's clothes, with a thick, broad face, and tragic, faithful eyes, comes in, and stands a little in from the closed door, quite dumb. Strangway. After a moment's silence, going up to him and laying a hand on his shoulder, Jack. Don't give way. If we give way, we're done. Kramer. Yes, sir. A quiver passes over his face. Strangway. She didn't. Your wife was a brave woman. A dear woman. Kramer. I never thought to lose her. She never told me how bad she was, afore she tucked her bed. 'Tis a dreadful thing to lose a wife, sir. Strangway. Tightening his lips that tremble, yes. But don't give way. Bear up, Jack. Kramer. Seems funny you're goin' bluebell time, and the sun sure ain't so warm. I picked up an horseshoe yesterday. I can't never have her back, sir. His face quivers again. Strangway. Some day you'll join her. Think. Some lose their wives forever. Kramer. I don't believe as there's a future life, sir. I think we go to sleep like the beasts. Strangway. We're told otherwise. But come here. Drawing him to the window, look. Listen. To sleep in that. Even if we do, it won't be so bad, Jack, will it? Kramer. She were a good wife to me. No man didn't have no better wife. Strangway. Putting his hand out, take hold harder. I want yours as much as you want mine. Pray for me, Jack, and I'll pray for you. And we won't give way, will we? Kramer. To whom the strangeness of these words has given some relief. No, sir, thank ye, sir. 'Tis no good, I expect. Only I'll miss her. Thank ye, sir, kindly. He lifts his hand to his head, turns, and uncertainly goes out to the kitchen. And Strangway stays where he is, not knowing what to do. He takes up his flute, and hatless, hurries out into the air. Act 2. Scene 1. About 7 o'clock in the taproom of the village inn. The bar, with the appurtenances thereof, stretches across one end, and opposite is the porch door onto the green. The wall between is nearly all window, with leaded panes, one wide open casement whereof lets in the last of the sunlight. A narrow bench runs under this broad window. And this is all the furniture, save 3 spittoons. Godly, the innkeeper, a smallish man with thick ruffled hair, a loquacious nose, and apple-red cheeks above a reddish-brown mustache, is reading the paper. To him enters Tibby Jarland with a shilling in her mouth. Godly. Well, Tibby Jarland, what be you come for, then? Glass o' beer? Tibby takes the shilling from her mouth and smiles stolidly. Godly. Twinkling, I should say glass o' arf and arfs about your form. Tibby smiles more broadly, you a paper masterpiece. Well, ave Sister Mercy borrowed your tongue? Tibby shakes her head, she haven't. Well, maid? Tibby. Father wants 6 clay pipes, please. Godly. Ye do ye? You tell your father he can't ave more'n one, not this avening. And 'tis. Hand up your shillin'. Tibby reaches up her hand, parts with the shilling, and receives a long clay pipe and 11 pennies. In order to secure the coins in her pinafore, she places the clay pipe in her mouth. While she is still thus engaged, Mrs. Bradmere enters the porch and comes in. Tibby curtsies stolidly. Mrs. Bradmere. Gracious child. What are you doing here? And what have you got in your mouth? Who is it? Tibby Jarland? Tibby curtsies again. Take that thing out. And tell your father from me that if I ever see you at the inn again I shall tread on his toes hard. Godly, you know the law about children? Godly. Cocking his eye, and not at all abashed, surely, But she will come. Go away, my dear. Tibby, never taking her eyes off Mrs. Bradmere, or the pipe from her mouth, has backed stolidly to the door, and vanished. Mrs. Bradmere. I'm Godly now, Godly, I've come to talk to you. Half the scandal that goes about the village begins here. She holds up her finger to check expostulation. No, no, it's no good. You know the value of scandal to your business far too well. Godly. Why, all respect, I knows the value of it to yourn too. Mrs. Bradmere. What do you mean by that? Godly. If there weren't no rector's lady there wouldn't be no notice taken o' scandal, and if there weren't no notice taken, 'twouldn't be scandal, to my thinkin'. Mrs. Bradmere. Winking out a grim little smile. Very well. You've given me your views. Now for mine. There's a piece of scandal going about that's got to be stopped, Godly. You turn the tap of it off here, or we'll turn your tap off. You know me. See? Godly. I should never presume, to know a lady. Mrs. Bradmere. The rector's quite determined, so is Sir Herbert. Ordinary scandal's bad enough, but this touches the church. While Mr. Strangway remains curate here, there must be no talk about him and his affairs. Godly. Cocking his eye. I was just thinkin' how to do it, 'Twould be a brave notion to put the men in chokey, and slit the women's tongues like, same as they do in outlandish places, as I'm told. Mrs. Bradmere. Don't talk nonsense, Godly, and mind what I say, because I mean it. Godly. Make your mind aisy, there'll be no scandal monkey in here why my permission. Mrs. Bradmere gives him a keen stare, but seeing him perfectly grave, nods her head with approval. Mrs. Bradmere. Good. You know what's being said, of course? Godly. With respectful gravity, you'll pardon me, but in case you was going to tell me, there's a rule in this ooze. No scandal air! Mrs. Bradmere. Twinkling grimly, you're too smart by half, my man. Godly. Ah fegs, no, child in your ends. Mrs. Bradmere. I wouldn't trust you a yard. Once more, Godly. This is a Christian village, and we mean it to remain so. You look out for yourself. The door opens to admit the farmers Trustaford and Burlacombe. They doff their hats to Mrs. Bradmere, who, after one more sharp look at Godly, moves towards the door. Mrs. Bradmere. Evening, Mr. Trustaford. To Burlacombe, tell your wife that duck she sent up was in hard training. With one of her grim winks, and a nod, she goes. Trustaford. Replacing a hat which is black, hard, and not very new, on his long head, above a long face, clean-shaved but for little whiskers. What's the old grey mare want, then? With a hoarse laugh, er's lookin' awful wise. Godly. Enigmatically, ah. Trustaford. Sitting on the bench dose to the bar, drop o' whiskey and potash. Burlacombe. A taciturn, alien, yellowish man in a worn soft hat. What's wise, Godly? Drop o' cider. Godly. News? There's never no news in this ooze. Ah, no! Not why my permission. In imitation, this is a Christian village. Trustaford. Thought the old grey mare seemed mighty busy. To Burlacombe, 'tes rather queer about the curate's wife a cumin motorin' this mornin'. Past me why her face all smothered up in a veil, goggles and all. Haw haw. Burlacombe. Aye. Trustaford. Off again she was in half an hour. Didn't give poor old curate much of a chance, after 6 months. Godly. Havin' an engagement elsewhere, no scandal, please, gentlemen. Burlacombe. Acidly, never asked to see my missus. Passed me in the yard like a stone. Trust afford. 'Tis a little bit rumorsome lately about her doctor. Godly. Ah, he's the favorite. But 'tis a dead secret, Mr. Trustaford. Don't you never repate it, there's not a cat don't know it already. Burlacombe frowns, and Trustaford utters his laugh. The door is opened and Fremen, a dark gypsyish man in the dress of a farmer, comes in. Godly. Don't you never tell Will Fremen what he told me. Fremen. Avenine. Trustaford. Avenine, Will, what's your glass o' trouble? Fremen. Drop o' eider clove and dash o' gin. There's blood in the sky tonight. Burlacombe. Ah. We'll ave fine weather now, with the full o' the moon. Fremen. Dust o' wind and a drop or two, versed I reckon. Earlty news about curate and his wife? Godly. No, indeed, and don't you tell us. We am Christians ere in this village. Fremen. 'Tain't no very Christian news, either. He's sent her off to th doctor. Go and live with un, he says. My blessin' on ye. If it 'ad been mine, I'd a tuck the whip to her. Tam Jarlin's maid, she yeared it all. Christian, indeed. That's brave Christianity. Go and live with un, he told her. Burlacombe. No, no, that's not sense, a man to say that. I'll not hear that against a man that bides in my use. Fremen. 'Tis sure, I tell ye. The maid was hid up, scared like, behind the curtain. At it they went, and parson he says, Go, he says. I won't kape ye from him, he says. And I won't divorce ye, as you don't wish it. They was his words, same as Jarlin's maid told my maid, and my maid told my missus. If that's parson's talk, 'tis funny work going to church. Trustaford. Brooding, 'tis wonderful quare, zurely. Fremen. Tam Jarlin's fair mad why curate for making free why his maid's skylark. Parson or no parson, you've no call to meddle why other people's property. He can poke in his nose into my affairs. I told un I knew a sight more about orzes than he ever would. Trustaford. He am a bit crazy about bastes and birds. They have been so absorbed that they bane not notice the entrance of Clyst, a youth with tousled hair, and a bright, quick, Celtic eye, who stands listening, with a bit of paper in his hand. Clyst. Ah. He am that zurely, Mr. Trustaford. He chuckles. Godly. Now, Tim Clyst, if and in case you've got some scandal on your tongue, don't you never unship it here. You go up to rectory where 'twill be more relish-like. Clyst. Waving the paper, well, why give me a drink for this, Mr. Godly? 'Tes raw funny. Ah. 'Tes something swats. Bootyful readin'. Poetry. Raw spice. You've a lovely voice for readin', Mr. Godly. Godly. All ears and twinkle. Ah, what is it then? Clyst. Ah. You want to know too much. Putting the paper in his pocket. While he is speaking, Jim Bear has entered quietly, with his feeble step and smile, and sits down. Clyst. Kindly, hello, Jim. Cat come home? Jim Bear. No. All nod, and speak to him kindly. And Jim Bear smiles at them, and his eyes ask of them the question, to which there is no answer. And after that he sits motionless and silent, and they talk as if he were not there. Godly. What's all this, now? No scandal in my ooze. Clyst. 'Tes awful peculiar, like a drame. Mr. Burlacombe, you don't like to hear tell about drams. I guess I won't tell ye, arter that. Fremen. Out why Tim. Clyst. 'Tes powerful thirsty today, Mr. Godly. Godly. Drawing him some cider, yure all wild cats talk, Tim. You've got no tail at all. Clyst. Moving for the cider, ah, indade. Godly. No tail, no cider. Clyst. Did ye ever hear tell of Orphus? Trustaford. What? The old vet. Up to Drele? Clyst. Fegs, no, Orphus that lived in old time, and drawed the bass after and why his music, same as curate was tellin' the maids. Fremen. I've heard as a gypsy over to Velicot could do that why is vittle. Clyst. 'Twas no gypsy I seed this ardenin, twee orifice, down to Mr. Burlacombe's long meadow, set in there all dark on a stone among the dimsy white flowers and the cowflops, why a bird upon his ead, playin' his whistle to the ponies. Fremen. Excitedly, you did never see a man why a bird on his ead. Clyst. Didn't I? Fremen. What sort o' bird, then? You tell me that. Trustaford. Praper old barndoor cock. Haw haw. Godly. Soothingly, 'tis a very tale. Us mustn't be too particular. Burlacombe, in my long meadow? Where were you then, Tim Clyst? Clyst. Passin' down the lane on my bike. Wonderful sorrowful fine music he played. The ponies they did come round you could see the tears rennin' down their chucks. 'Twas powerful sad. Ye didn't know it on. Fremen. Jeering, no, he had a bird on his ead. Clyst. With a silencing grin, he went on playin' and playin'. The ponies they never moved. And all the dimsy white flowers they waved, and the wind it went over 'em. Gav me a funny feelin'. Godly. Clyst, you take the cherry bun. Clyst. Where's that cider, Mr. Godly? Godly. Bending over the cider, you've had too much already, Tim. The door is opened, and Tam Jarland appears. He walks rather unsteadily, a man with a hardy jowl, and sullen, strange, epileptic-looking eyes. Clyst. Pointing to Jarland, 'tis Tam Jarland there as the cargo aboard. Jarland. Avenine, all. To Godly, Pinto Beer. To Jim Bear, Avenine, Jim. Jim Bear looks at him and smiles. Godly. Serving him after a moment's hesitation, yure, Tam. To Clyst, who has taken out his paper again. Where'd you get Thixie paper? Clyst. Putting down his cider mug empty, your tongue do water, don't it, Mr. Godly? Holding out his mug, no cider, no poetry. 'Tis amazin' sorrowful, Shakespeare over again. The boy stewed on the burnin' deck. Fremen. You and your yap. Clyst. Ah. You wait a bit. When I come back down T-Lane again, Orpheus was vanished away. There was naught in the field but the ponies, and a praper old magpie, atop o' the hedge. I see somethin' white in the beak o' the fowl, so I give a wish, and he drops it smart, and off he go. I gets over bank and picks un up, and here'd be. He holds out his mug. Burlacombe. Tartly, here, give him his cider. Rate it yourself, ye young teaswings. Clyst, having secured his cider, drinks it $1. Holding up the paper to the light, he makes as if to begin, then slides his eye round, tantalizing. Clyst. 'Tis a pity I bain't dressed in a white gown, and flowers in the air. Fremen. Read it, or will I you out o' this? Clyst. Ah, don't ye shake my nerve, now! He begins reading with mock heroism, in his soft, high, burring voice. Thus, in his rustic accent, go the lines: God lighted the zune in even far, lighted the firefly in the star. My he lighted not. God lighted the fields for lambs to play, lighted the bright strams and the may. My he lighted not. God lighted the moon, the Arab's way, he lights tomorrow and today. My ate each vorget. When he has finished, there is silence. Then Trustaford, scratching his head, speaks. Tostaford. 'Tis amazin' funny stuff. Fremen. Looking over Clyst's shoulder, be dongade. 'Tis the curate's andridden. 'Twas curate why the ponies after that. Clyst. Fancy now. Ah, well, Fremen, an't you bright? Fremen. But he adient no bird on his ead. Clyst. Yas, yad? Jarland. In a dull, threatening voice, yad my maid's bird, this ardenin. Yad or no, and parson or no, I'll gi him one for that. Fremen. Ah. And he meddled why my orzes. Trustaford. I'm thinkin' 'twas an old cook of bird he had on his ead. Haw haw. Godly. His she'd each vorget. Fremen. He's a fine one to be takin' our maid's confirmation. Godly. Would ye ave at the old rector then? Why is Gouty's shoe? Racken the maids would rather 'twas curate, and Mr. Burlacombe? Burlacombe. Abruptly, curate's a good man. Jarland. With the comatose ferocity of drink, I'll be even wyon. Fremen. Excitedly, tell ye one thing, 'tes not a proper man o' God to ave about, why is Luz goin's on? Out vramere he oughter go. Burlacombe. You med go further and fare worse. Fremen. What's he dwin, then, lettin' his wife run off? Trustaford. Scratching his head, if and in case he can't kape her, 'tes a funny way o' dwin things not to divorce her, after that. If a parson's not to do the Christian thing, w'is then? Burlacombe. 'Tes a bit immoral like to pass over a thing like that. 'Tes funny if women's gains ons to be encouraged. Fremen. Act of a coward, I say. Burlacombe. The curate ain't no coward. Fremen. He bides in your house, 'tes natural for you to stand up for un. I'll wager Mrs. Burlacombe don't though. My missus was fair shocked. Will, she says, if you ever make ver to let me go like that, I wouldn't never stay why you. She says. Trustaford. 'Tes set in a bad example for Zur. Burlacombe. 'Tes all very airy talkin', what should he do, then? Fremen. Excitedly, go over to Durford and say to that doctor, you come about my missus, and see what I'll do to ye, and take her 'ome and see she don't misbeave again. Clyst. Ye can't take her ye for don want he come, I've heard lawyer that lodged wy us say that. Fremen. All right then, ye ought to ave the law over and her doctor, and see your goin' son don't prosper, ye'd get damages, too. But this way 'tes a nice example he set in folks. Parson indade. My missus and the maids they won't go near the church tonight, and I wager no one else won't, either. Jarland. Lurching with his pewter up to Godly, the beggar. I'll be even wyon. Godly. Looking at him in doubt, 'tes the last then, Tam? Having received his beer, Jarland stands leaning against the bar, drinking. Burlacombe. Suddenly, I don go with what curate's dwin, 'tes tiff soft ear Ted. He am a muni kind o' man altogether, why his flute and his poetry, but he've a lodged in my ooze this year and mare, and always add an elpin and for every one. I've got a leaking for him and there's an end of it. Jarland. The coward. Trustaford. I don't trouble nothin' about that, Tam Jarland. Turning to Burlacombe, what gets me is he don't seem to ave no sense o' what's his own property. Jarland. Take other folks' property fast enough. He saws the air with his empty. The others have all turned to him, drawn by the fascination that a man in liquor has for his fellowmen. The bell for church has begun to ring, the sun is down, and it is getting dusk. He wants one on his crop, and one in his belly. He wants a man to take in Gi on a good hide and zame as he oughter give his fly-be-night of a wife. Strangway in his dark clothes has entered, and stands by the door, his lips compressed to a colorless line, his thin, darkish face gray-white. Same as a man would ha Gian the doctor, for talking what is in his en. All but Jarland have seen Strangway. He steps forward, Jarland sees him now. His jaw drops a little, and he is silent. Strangway. I came for a little brandy, Mr. Godly, feeling rather faint. Afraid I mightn't get through the service. Godly. With professional composure, Martle's 3 stars or Enesis? Strangway. Looking at Jarland, thank you. I believe I can do without, now. He turns to go. In the deadly silence, Godly touches the arm of Jarland, who, leaning against the bar with the pewter in his hand, is staring with his strange lowering eyes straight at Strangway. Jarland. Galvanized by the touch into drunken rage, lave me be, I'll talk to unparson or no. I'll tatch unto meadow why my maid's bird. I'll tatch unto cape his thievin' ends to himself. Strangway turns again. Clyst. Be quiet, Tam. Jarland. Never loosing Strangway with his eyes. Like a bulldog who sees red, that's for one shake. Zion turned t'other, the white-livered beauty. Well, let's another man ave his wife, and never the spirit to go vor on. Burlacombe. Shame, Jarland, quiet, man! They are all looking at Strangway, who, under Jarland's drunken insults, is standing rigid, with his eyes closed, and his hands hard clenched. The church bell has stopped slow ringing, and begun its 5 minutes hurrying note. Trustaford. Rising, and trying to hook his arm into Jarland's, come away, Tam, uva add too much, man. Jarland. Shaking him off, e darsn't touch me. I mighted in the vase and darsn't, e's afraid, like was the doctor. He raises the pewter as though to fling it, but it is seized by Godly from behind, and falls clattering to the floor. Strangway has not moved. Jarland. Shaking his fist almost in his face, look at un. A man why a slut for a wife. As he utters the word wife, Strangway seizes the outstretched fist, and with a jiu-jitsu movement draws him into his clutch, helpless. And as they sway and struggle in the open window, with the false strength of fury he forces Jarland through. There is a crash of broken glass from outside. At the sound Strangway comes to himself. A look of agony passes over his face. His eyes light on Jim Bear, who has suddenly risen, and stands feebly clapping his hands. Strangway rushes out. Excitedly gathering at the window, they all speak at once. Clyst. Tam's hatchin' of your cucumbers, Mr. Godly? Trustaford. Ye did crash. Haw. Fremen. 'Twas a brave throw, Zurly. What would 'a thought it? Clyst. Tam's crawlin' out. Leaning through window, hello, Tam, ow's t base, old man? Fremen. Excitedly, they am all comin' up from churchyard to z. Trustaford. Tam do look wonderful astonished. Haw. Per old Tam. Clyst. Can you ze cure it? Reckon ye am gone into church. Ah, yes, gettin' a bit dimsy service time. A moment's hush. Trustaford. Well, I'm jiggered. In half an hour he am got to prash. Godly. 'Tis a Christian village, boys. Feebly, quietly, Jim Bear laughs. There is silence, but the bell is heard still ranging. Curtain. Scene 2. The same in daylight dying fast. A lamp is burning on the bar. A chair has been placed in the center of the room, facing the bench under the window, on which are seated from right to left Godly, Sol Potter the village shopman, Trustaford, Burlacombe, Fremen, Jim Bear, and Morse the blacksmith. Clyst is squatting on a stool by the bar, and at the other end Jarland, sobered and lowering, leans against the lintel of the porch leading to the door, round which are gathered 5 or 6 sturdy fellows, dumb as fishes. No one sits in the chair. In the unnatural silence that reigns, the distant sound of the wheezy church organ and voices singing can be heard. Trustaford. After a prolonged clearing of his throat, what I mean to say is that 'tes no use, not a bit o' use in the world, not dwin of things properly. If and in case we am to carry a resolution disapprovin' o' curate, it must all be done so as no one can't say nothin'. Sol Potter. That's what I say, Mr. Trustaford. Ef so be as 'tis to be a village meetin', then it must be all done proper. Fremen. That's right, Sot Potter. I purpose Mr. Sot Potter into the chair. Was seconds that? A silence. Voices from among the dumb as fishes. I do. Clyst. Excitedly, you can't put that to the meetin'. Only a chairman can put it to the meetin'. I purpose that Mr. Burlacombe, bein' as how he's chairman o' the parish council, take the chair. Fremen. Yef so be as I can't put it, you can't put that neither. Trustaford. 'Tis not a bit o' use. Us can't ave no meetin' without a chairman. Godly. Us can't ave no chairman without a meetin' to elect on, that's sure. A silence. Morse. Heavily, to my way o' thinkin', Mr. Godly speaks sense. Us must ave a meetin' before us can ave a chairman. Clyst. Then what we got to do's to elect a meetin'. Burlacombe. Sourly, you'll not find no procedure for that. Voices from among the dumb as fishes. Mr. Burlacombe ought to know. Sol Potter. Scratching his head, with heavy solemnity, 'tes my belief there's no other way to do, but to elect a chairman to call a meeting, and then for that meeting to elect a chairman. Clyst. I purpose Mr. Burlacombe as chairman to call a meeting. Fremen. I purpose Sol Potter. Godly. Can have a two propositions together before a meeting. That's apple pie zur Verzerten. Voice from among the dumb as fishes. There ain't no meeting yet, Sol Potter's A's. Trustaford. Us must get the rights of it settled somehow. 'Tis like the darned old chicken and the egg, meetin' or chairman, which come first? Sol Potter. Conciliating, to my thinking there should be another way o' doin' it, to get round it like with a circumbendibus. 'T all comes from talking different views, in a manner o' spakin. Fremen. Viu gu and zet in that chair. Sol Potter. With a glance at Burlacombe modestly, I shouldn't never like fur to do that, with Mr. Burlacombe zet in there. Burlacombe. Rising, 'tis all darned foolishness. Amidst an uneasy shufflement of feet he moves to the door, and goes out into the darkness. Clyst. Seeing his candidate thus depart, reckon curate's pretty well through by now, I'm going to Z. As he passes Jarland, owls to base, old man? He goes out. One of the dumbass fishes moves from the door, and fills the apace left on the bench by Burlacombe's departure. Jarland. Darn all this puzzavantin. To Sol Potter, got and zet in that chair. Sol Potter. Rising and going to the chair. There he stands, changing from one to the other of his short broad feet and sweating from modesty and worth. 'Tis my duty now, gentlemen, to call a meeting of the parishioners of this parish. I beg therefore to declare that this is a meeting in accordance with my duty as chairman of this meeting which elected me chairman to call this meeting. And I purse to vacate the chair so that this meeting may now purse to elect a chairman. He gets up from the chair, and wiping the sweat from his brow, goes back to his seat. Fremen. Mr. Chairman, I rise on a point of order. Godly. There ain't no chairman. Fremen. I don't give a darn for that. I rise on a point of order. Godly. 'Tis a chairman that decides points of order. 'Tis certain you can't rise on no points whatever till there's a chairman. Trustaford. 'Tis no use your risin', not the least bit in the world, till there's someone to set you down again. Haw haw. Voice from the dummazetches. Mr. Trustaford's right. Fremen. What I say is the chairman ought never to ave vacated the chair till I'd risen on my point of order. I purpose that he go and zet down again. Godly. You can't purpose that to this meeting. You can only purpose that to the old meeting that's not zetin' any longer. Fremen. Excitedly, I didn't care what old meeting 'tis that's zetin'. I purpose that Sol Potter go and zet in that chair again, while I rise on my point of order. Trustaford. Scratching his head, 'Tesn't regular but I guess you've got to go, Sol, or us shan't ave no peace. Sol Potter, still wiping his brow, goes back to the chair. Morse. Stolidly to Fremen, zet down, will Fremen. He pulls at him with a blacksmith's arm. Fremen. Remaining erect with an effort, I'm not a-goin' to zet down till I've arisen. Jarland. Now then, there he is in the chair. What's your point of order? Fremen. Darting his eyes here and there, and flinging his hand up to his gypsy-like head, 'Twas, darned if why aven't put it clean out o' my yady. Jarland. We can't wait for your points of order. Come out o' that chair. Sol Potter. Sol Potter rises and is about to vacate the chair. Fremen. I know. There ought to have been minutes taken. You can't ave no meetin' without minutes. When us comes to electin' a chairman o' the next meetin', you won't ave no minutes to read. Sol Potter. 'Twas only to put down that I was elected chairman to elect a meetin' to elect a chairman to preside over a meetin' to pass a resolution dalin' why the curate. That's AC set down, that is? Fremen. Mollified, we'll ave that set down then, while we're electin' the chairman o' the next meetin'. A silence. Trustaford. Well then, seein' this is the proper old meetin' for carryin' the resolution about the curate, I purpose Mr. Sol Potter take the chair. Fremen. I purpose Mr. Trustaford. I even got nothin' against Sol Potter, but seein' that he elected the meetin' that's to elect him, it might be said that he was electin' of himself in a manner of spakin. Us don't want that, said Morse. Amid meditative grunts from the dumb as fishes, there's some at in that. They two proposals must be put to the meetin'. Fremen. Second must be put versed for zur. Trust afford. I dunno as I wants to zet in that chair. To hiss the curate, 'tis a ticklish sort of a job after that. First comes afore second, will Freeman. Fremen. Second is amendment to versed. 'Tis the amendments is put versed. Trust afford. How's that, Mr. Godley? I'm not particular exact how why to a dilly sort of a point like that. Soul Potter. Scratching his head, 'tis a very nice point for zur. Godly. 'Tis undoubtedly for the chairman to decide. Voice from the dumb as fishes. But there ain't no chairman yet. Jarland. Soul Potter's chairman. Fremen. No, he ain't. Morse. Yes, he is. He's chairman till this second old meetin' gets on the go. Fremen. I deny that. What do you say, Mr. Trustaford? Trustaford. I can't hardly tell. It do seem a darned long-sufferin' sort of a business altogether. A silence. Morse. Slowly, tell ye what 'tis, us shan't do no good like this. Godly. 'Tis for Mr. Fremen or Mr. Trustaford, one or t'other to withdraw their motions. Trustaford. After a pause, with cautious generosity, I've no objections to withdrawin' mine, if will Fremen'll withdraw his en. Fremen. I won't never be bein' hand. If Mr. Trustaford withdraws, I withdraws mine. Morse. With relief, that's sensible. Put the motion to the meetin'. Soul Potter. There ain't no motion left to put. Silence of consternation. In the confusion, Jim Bear is seen to stand up. Godly. Jim Bear to spike. Silence for Jim. Voices. Aye. Silence for Jim. Soul Potter. Well, Jim? Jim. Smiling and slow, nothin' dwin. Trustaford. Bravo, Jim! You am right. Best sense yet. Applause from the dumb as fishes. With his smile brightening, Jim resumes his seat. Soul Potter. Wiping his brow, do seem to me, gentlemen, seem as we am got into a bit of a tangle in a manner of spakin', 'twould be the most simplest and verest way to begin all over from the beginning, so's t'ave it all fair and square for everyone. In the uproar of I and no, it is noticed that Tibby Jarland is standing in front of her father with her finger, for want of something better, in her mouth. Tibby. In her stolid voice, please, Sister Mercy says, curate ave got to. Lastly, Jarland picks her up, and there is silence, and please to come quick. Jarland. Come on, mates, quietly now. He goes out, and all begin to follow him. Morse. Slowest, save for Soul Potter, 'tis rare lucky us was all agreed to hiss the curate afore us began the both er'n old meetin', or us wouldn't hardly ave had time to settle what to do. Soul Potter. Scratching his head, aye, 'tis rare lucky, but I dunno if 'tis altogether reg'lar. Curtain. Scene 3. The village green before the churchyard and the yew trees at the gate. Into the pitch dark under the yews, light comes out through the half-open church door. Figures are lurking, or moving stealthily, people waiting and listening to the sound of a voice speaking in the church words that are inaudible. Excited whispering and faint giggles come from the deepest yew tree shade, made ghostly by the white faces and the frocks of young girls continually flitting up and back in the blackness. A girl's figure comes flying out from the porch, down the path of light, and joins the stealthy group. Whispering voice of Mercy. Where's he got to now, Gladys? Whispering voice of Gladys. Evie just finished. Voice of Connie. What pushed T-door open? Voice of Gladys. Tim Cysd I give it a little push, myself. Voice of Connie. Oh. Voice of Gladys. Tim Cysd's gone in. Another voice. OH. Voice of Mercy. What else is there, too? Voice of Gladys. Ivy's there, an old Mrs. Potter and 2 o' the maids from Th Hall. That's all as ever. Voice of Connie. Not the old grey mare? Voice of Gladys. No, she ain't there. 'Twill just be Thymn now, and the blessin'. To be gone for Voice of Mercy. Yes. Voice of Connie. Mr. Burlacombe's gone in home. I saw him pass by just now. He don't like it. Father don't like it neither. Voice of Mercy. Mr. Strangway shall nave taken my skylark, and thrown father out o' winder. 'Tis goin' to be awful fun. Oh! She jumps up and down in the darkness. And a voice from far in the shadow says, HSSSH! Quiet, you maids! The voice has ceased speaking in the church. There is a moment's dead silence. The voice speaks again. Then from the wheezy little organ come the first faint chords of a hymn. Gladys. Nearer, my God, to thee! Voice of Mercy. 'Twill be funny, with no one hardly singing. The sound of the old hymn sung by just 6 voices comes out to them rather sweet and clear. Gladys. Softly, 'tis pretty, too. Why? They're only singin' one verse. A moment's silence, and the voice speaks, uplifted, pronouncing the blessing. The peace of God. As the last words die away, dark figures from the inn approach over the grass, till quite a crowd seems standing there without a word spoken. Then from out of the church porch come the congregation. Tim Clyst first, hastily lost among the waiting figures in the dark, old Mrs. Potter, a half-blind old lady groping her way and perceiving nothing out of the ordinary, the 2 maids from the hall, self-conscious and scared, scuttling along. Last, Ivy Burlacombe quickly, and starting back at the dim, half-hidden crowd. Voice of Gladys. Whispering, Ivy! Here, quick! Ivy sways, darts off towards the voice, and is lost in the shadow. Voice of Fremen. Lo, wait, boys, till I give signal. 2 or 3 squirks and giggles, Tim Clyst's voice. Yes! Don't ye tread on my toe! A soft, frightened, OH! From a girl. Some quick, excited whisperings. Look! See there! He's comin'! And then a perfectly dead silence. The figure of Strangway is seen in his dark clothes, passing from the vestry to the church porch. He stands plainly visible in the lighted porch, locking the door, then steps forward. Just as he reaches the edge of the porch, a low hiss breaks the silence. It swells very gradually into a long, hissing groan. Strangway stands motionless, his hand over his eyes, staring into the darkness. A girl's figure can be seen to break out of the darkness and rush away. When at last the groaning has died into sheer expectancy, Strangway drops his hand. Strangway. In a loco voice, yes. I'm glad. Is Jarland there? Fremen. He's there, no thanks to you. HSSS. The hiss breaks out again, then dies away. Jarland's voice. Threatening, try if you can do it again. Strangway. No, Jarland, no. I ask you to forgive me. Humbly. A hesitating silence, broken by muttering. Clyst's voice. Bravo. A voice. That's ver. A voice. He's afraid o' the sack, that's what 'tis. A voice. Groaning, he's a praper coward. A voice. What funked the doctor? Clyst's voice. Shame on ye there. Strangway. You're right, all of you. I'm not fit. An uneasy and excited mustering and whispering dies away into renewed silence. Strangway. What I did to Tam Jarland is not the real cause of what you're doing, is it? I understand. But don't be troubled. It's all over. I'm going, you'll get someone better. Forgive me, Jarland. I can't see your face. It's very dark. Fremen's voice. Mocking, wait for the full moon. Godly. Very low. My delighted not. Strangway. Starting at the sound of his own words thus mysteriously given him out of the darkness. Whoever found that, please tear it up. After a moment's silence, many of you have been very kind to me. You won't see me again, goodbye, all. He stands for a second motionless, then moves resolutely down into the darkness so peopled with shadows. Uncertain voices as he passes. Goodbye, sir. Good luck, sir. He has gone. Clyst's voice. 3 cheers from Mr. Strangway. And a queer, strangled sheer, with groans still threading it, arises. Curtain. Act 3. Scene 1. In the Burlacombe's hall sitting room the curtains are drawn, a lamp burns, and the door stands open. Burlacombe and his wife are hovering there, listening to the sound of mingled cheers and groaning. Mrs. Burlacombe. Ah! My goodness, what a thing to happen! I'd saner a lost all me ducks. She makes towards the inner door. I can't never face him. Burlacombe. Ye can't expect nothin' else, if ye act like that. Mrs. Burlacombe. 'Tis only dwin as ed be done by. Burlacombe. Ah! You can't go on forgivin' air, and forgivin' there. Tisn't natural. Mrs. Burlacombe. 'Tis the mischief am a parson. 'Tisn't bein' a lamb o' God, or 'twouldn't be so quare for him to be forgiven. Burlacombe. You go and make on a good tea drink. Mrs. Burlacombe. Poor soul! What'll he do now, I wonder? Under her breath, "Ease cumin." She goes hurriedly. Burlacombe, with a startled look back, wavers and makes to follow her, but stops undecided in the inner doorway. Strangway comes in from the darkness. He turns to the window and drops overcoat and hat and the church key on the window seat, looking about him as men do when too hard driven, and never fixing his eyes long enough on anything to see it. Burlacombe, closing the door into the house, advances a step. At the sound Strangway faces round. Burlacombe. I wanted for you to know, sir, that me and mine ain't nothin' to do why that darned foolishness, just now. Strangway. With the ghost of a smile, thank you, Burlacombe. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter a bit. Burlacombe. I hope you won't take no notice of it. Like a lot o' silly bees they get. After an uneasy pause, you'll excuse me spakin' of this mornin', and what a peend. 'Tis a brave pity it cam on you so sudden like before you 'ad time to think. 'Tis a sort o' thing a man should set and chew upon. Certainly 'tis not a bit o' yous goin' against human nature. If you don't stand up for yourself there's no one else not goin' to. 'Tis you're not even done that as made 'em so rampageous. Stealing another look at Strangway, you'll excuse me, sir, spakin' of it, but 'tis amazin' sad to see a man let go his own, without a word o' darin'. 'Tis as if he had no passions like. Strangway. Look at me, Burlacombe. Burlacombe looks up, trying hard to keep his eyes on Strangway's, that seemed to burn in his thin face. Strangway. Do I look like that? Please, please. He touches his breast. I've too much here. Please. Burlacombe. With a sort of startled respect, well, sir, 'tis not for me to say nothin', certainly. He turns and after a slow look back at Strangway goes out. Strangway. To himself, passions. No passions. Ha! The outer door is opened and Ivy Burlacombe appears, and seeing him, stops. Then, coming softly towards him, she speaks timidly. Ivy. Oh! Mr. Strangway, Mrs. Bradmere's cumin from the rectory. I ran and told them. Oh! 'Twas awful. Strangway starts, stares at her, and turning on his heel, goes into the house. Ivy's face is all puckered, as if she were on the point of tears. There is a gentle scratching at the door, which has not been quite closed. Voice of Gladys. Whispering, Ivy. Come on, Ivy. I won't. Voice of Mercy. You must. Us can't do without you. Ivy. Going to the door, I don't want to. Voice of Gladys. Naughty maid, she won't come out. Ah. Do ye? Voice of Kramer. Tim Coyst and Bobby's cumin. Us'll only be 6 anyway. Us can't dance. Figure of 8. Without you. Ivy. Stamping her foot, I don't want to dance at all. I don't. Mercy. Ah. She's temper. You can bang on tambourine then. Gladys. Running in, quick, Ivy! Here's the old grey mare cumin down the green. Quick! With whispering and scuffling, gurgling and squeaking, the reluctant Ivy's hand is caught, and she is jerked away. In their haste they have left the door open behind them. Voice of Mrs. Bradmere. Outside, who's that? She knocks loudly, and rings a bell, Then, without waiting, comes in through the open door. Noting the overcoat and hat on the windowsill, she moves across to ring the bell. But as she does so, Mrs. Burlacombe, followed by Burlacombe, comes in from the house. Mrs. Bradmere, this disgraceful business. Where's Mr. Strangway? I see he's in. Mrs. Burlacombe. Yes, he am in. But Burlacombe do say he am terrible upset. Mrs. Bradmere. I should think so. I must see him, at once. Mrs. Burlacombe. I doubt bed's the best place for un, and good ot drink. Burlacombe says he am like a man standin' on the edge of a cliff, and the last tipsy o' wind might throw un over. Mrs. Bradmere. To Burlacombe, you've seen him then? Burlacombe. Yes, and I don't like the look of un, not a little bit, I don't. Mrs. Burlacombe. Almost to herself, poor soul, Evie had too much to try on this your long time past. I've seen 'tis sperrit cumin through his body, as you might say. He's torn to bits, that's what 'tis. Burlacombe. 'Twas a praper cowardly thing to hiss a man when he's down. But 'twas natural too, in a manner of spoken. But 'tesn't that troublin' him. 'Tes in here, touching his forehead, along of his wife, to my thinkin'. They say Evie ain't known about her afore she went away. Think of what Evie had to cape in all this time. 'Tes enough to drive a man silly after that. I've locked my gun up. I see a man like that once before, and sure enough he was dead in the mornin'. Mrs. Bradmere. Nonsense, Burlacombe. To Mrs. Burlacombe, go and tell him I want to see him, must see him. Mrs. Burlacombe goes into the house, and look here, Burlacombe, if we catch any one, man or woman, talking of this outside the village, it'll be the end of their tenancy, whoever they may be. Let them all know that. I'm glad he threw that drunken fellow out of the window, though it was a little. Burlacombe. Aye. The newspapers would be praper glad of that, for a tiddy bit o' news. Mrs. Bradmere. My goodness. Yes. The men are all up at the inn. Go and tell them what I said, it's not to get about. Go at once, Burlacombe. Burlacombe. Must be a terrible job for him, every one's knowin' about his wife like this. He am a proud man too, I think. 'Tes a funny business altogether. Mrs. Bradmere. Horrible. Poor fellow. Now come. Do your best, Burlacombe. Burlacombe touches his forelock and goes. Mrs. Bradmere stands quite still, thinking. Then going to the photograph, she stares up at it. Mrs. Bradmere. You baggage. Strangway has come in noiselessly, and is standing just behind her. She turns and sees him. There is something so still, so startlingly still in his figure and white face, that she cannot for the moment find her voice. Mrs. Bradmere. At last, this is most distressing. I'm deeply sorry. Then, as he does not answer, she goes a step closer. I'm an old woman, and old women must take liberties, you know, or they couldn't get on at all. Come now. Let's try and talk it over calmly, and see if we can't put things right. Strangway. You were very good to come, but I would rather not. Mrs. Bradmere. I know you're in as grievous trouble as a man can be. Strangway. Yes. Mrs. Bradmere. With a little sound of sympathy, what are you, 35? I'm 68 if I'm a day, old enough to be your mother. I can feel what you must have been through all these months, I can indeed. But you know you've gone the wrong way to work. We aren't angels down here below. And a son of the church can't act as if for himself alone. The eyes of everyone are on him. Strangway. Taking the church key from the window. Take this, please. Mrs. Bradmere. No, no, no. Jarland deserved all he got. You had great provocation. Strangway. It's not Jarland. Holding out the key, please take it to the rector. I beg his forgiveness. Touching his breast, there's too much I can't speak of, can't make plain. Take it to him, please. Mrs. Bradmere. Mr. Strangway, I don't accept this. I am sure my husband, the church, will never accept. Strangway. Take it. Mrs. Bradmere. Almost unconsciously taking it, mind. We don't accept it. You must come and talk to the rector tomorrow. You're overwrought. You'll see it all in another light then. Strangway. With a strange smile, perhaps. Lifting the blind, beautiful night. Couldn't be more beautiful. Mrs. Bradmere. Startled softly, don't turn sway from these who want to help you. I'm a grumpy old woman, but I can feel for you. Don't try and keep it all back, like this. A woman would cry, and it would all seem clearer at once. Now won't you let me? Strangway. No one can help, thank you. Mrs. Bradmere. Come. Things haven't gone beyond mending, really, if you'll face them. Pointing to the photograph, you know what I mean. We dare not foster immorality. Strangway. Quivering as at a jabbed nerve, don't speak of that. Mrs. Bradmere. But think what you've done, Mr. Strangway. If you can't take your wife back, surely you must divorce her. You can never help her to go on like this in secret sin. Strangway. Torture her, one way or the other? Mrs. Bradmere. No, no, I want you to do as the Church, as all Christian society would wish. Come! You can't let this go on. My dear man, do your duty at all costs. Strangway. Break her heart? Mrs. Bradmere. Then you love that woman, more than God. Strangway. His face quivering, love. Mrs. Bradmere. They told me, yes, and I can see yours is a bad way. Come, pull yourself together. You can't defend what you're doing. Strangway. I do not try. Mrs. Bradmere. I must get you to see. My father was a clergyman. I'm married to one. I've 2 sons in the church. I know what I'm talking about. It's a priest's business to guide the people's lives. Strangway. Very low, but not mine. No more. Mrs. Bradmere. Looking at him shrewdly, there's something very queer about you tonight. You ought to see Doctor. Strangway. A smile awning and going on his lips, if I am not better soon. Mrs. Bradmere. I know it must be terrible to feel that everybody. A convulsive shiver passes over Strangway, and he shrinks against the door. But come! Live it down! With anger growing at his silence. Live it down, man! You can't desert your post, and let these villagers do what they like with us. Do you realize that you're letting a woman, who has treated you abominably, yes, abominably, go scot-free, to live comfortably with another man? What an example! Strangway. Will you please not speak of that? Mrs. Bradmere. I must! This great church of ours is based on the rightful condemnation of wrongdoing. There are times when forgiveness is a sin, Michael Strangway. You must keep the whip hand. You must fight. Strangway. Fight. Touching his heart, my fight is here. Have you ever been in hell? For months and months, burned and longed, hoped against hope, killed a man and thought day by day. Never rested, for love and hate. I condemn. I judge. No. It's rest I have to find, somewhere, somehow rest. And how can I find rest? Mrs. Bradmere. Who has listened to his outburst in a soft of coma, you are a strange man. One of these days you'll go off your head if you don't take care. Strangway. Smiling, one of these days the flowers will grow out of me, and I shall sleep. Mrs. Bradmere stares at his smiling face a long moment in silence, then with a little sound, half sniff, half snort, she goes to the door. There she halts. Mrs. Bradmere. And you mean to let all this go on, your wife? Strangway. Go! Please go! Mrs. Bradmere. Men like you have been buried at crossroads before now. Take care! God punishes. Strangway. Is there a God? Mrs. Bradmere. Ah! With finality, you must see a doctor. Seeing that the look on his face does not change, she opens the door, and hurries away into the moonlight. Strangway crosses the room to where his wife's picture hangs, and stands before it, his hands grasping the frame. Then he takes it from the wall, and lays it face upwards on the window seat. Strangway. To himself, gone. What is there now? The sound of an owl's hooting is floating in, and of voices from the green outside the inn. Strangway. To himself, gone. Taken faith, hope, life. Jim Bear comes wandering into the open doorway. Jim Bear. Good evening, sir. At his slow gait, with his feeble smile, he comes in, and standing by the window seat beside the long dark coat that still lies there, he looks down at Strangway with his lost eyes. Jim. You threw an out of winder. I cut of a once I cut. Strangway neither moves nor speaks, and Jim Bear goes on with his unimaginably slow speech. They am logan at you, sir. And so I come to tell 'ee how to do. 'Twas full meun, when I caught him and my girl. I caught him. With a strange and awful flash of fire, I did, and I tuck on, he taken up Strangway's coat and grips it with his trembling hands, as a man grips another's neck, like that. I tuck on as the coat falls, like a body out of which the breath has been squeezed. Strangway, rising, catches it. Strangway. Gripping the coat, and he fell. He lets the coat fall on the floor, and puts his foot on it. Then, staggering back, he leans against the window. Jim. You see, I loved her, I did. The lost look comes back to his eyes, then something, I dunno, and he lifts his hand and passes it up and down his side. 'Twas like this forever. They gaze at each other in silence. Jim. At last I come to tell you. They am all logan at you. But you am strong, you go over to Durford to that doctor man, and take 'em like I did. He tries again to make the sign of squeezing a man's neck. They can't laugh at you no more then. Tha's what I come to tell you. Tha's the way for a Christian man to do. Good night, sir. I come to tell ye. Strangway motions to him in silence. And very slowly, Jim Bear passes out. The voices of men coming down the green are heard. Voices. Good night, Tam. Glide nate, old Jim. Voices. Good night, Mr. Trustaford. 'Tes a wonderful fine mewn. Voice of Trustaford. Ah. 'Tes a brave mewn for th poor old curate. Voice. My delighted not. Trustaford's laugh, and the rattling, fainter and fainter, of wheels. A spasm seizes on Strangway's face, as he stands there by the open door, his hand grips his throat, he looks from side to side, as if seeking a way of escape. Curtain. Scene 2. The Burlacombe's high and nearly empty barn. A lantern is hung by a rope that lifts the bales of straw, to a long ladder leaning against the rafter. This gives all the light there is, save for a slender track of moonlight, slanting in from the end, where the two great doors are not quite closed. On a rude bench in front of a few remaining, stacked, square-cut bundles of last year's hay, sits Tibby Jarland, a bit of apple in her mouth, sleepily beating on a tambourine. With stocking feet Gladys, Ivy, Connie, and Mercy, Tim Clyst, and Bobby Jarland, a boy of 15, are dancing a truncated figure of 8, and their shadow are dancing alongside on the walls. Shoes and some apples have been thrown down close to the side door through which they have come in. Now and then Ivy, the smallest and best of the dancers, ejaculates words of direction, and one of the youths grunts or breathes loudly out of the confusion of his mind. Save for this and the dumb beat and jingle of the sleepy tambourine, there is no sound. The dance comes to its end, but the drowsy Tibby goes on beating. Mercy. That'll do, Tibby, we're finished. Ate your apple. The stolid Tibby eats her apple. Clyst. In his teasing, excitable voice, you maids don't dance elf's well as us do. Bobby's a great dancer. Ye dance fine. I'm a good dancer, myself. Gladys. Ain't you conceited just? Clyst. Ah. You'll give me kiss for that. He chases, but cannot catch that slippery white figure, can't she glimmer? Mercy. Gladys. Up ladder. Clyst. You go up ladder, I'll catch ye then. Nah, you maids, don't you give her succor. That's not fair, catching hold of Mercy, who gives a little squeal. Connie. Mercy, don't. Mrs. Burlacombe will hear. Ivy, go and peek. Ivy goes to Flea's side door and peers through. Clyst. Abandoning the chase and picking up an apple, they all have the joyous irresponsibility that attends forbidden doings. Yes, this is a good apple. Look at Tibby. Tibby, overcome by drowsiness, has fallen back into the hay, asleep. Gladys, leaning against the hay, breaks into humming. There cam 3 dukes a ridin', a ridin', a ridin', there cam 3 dukes a ridin' with a rancy tansy tay. Clyst. Us as got on vine, us'll get prize for our dancin'. Connie. There won't be no prize if Mr. Strangway goes away. 'Tes funny 'twas Mrs. Strangway stardust. Ivy. From the door, 'twas wicked to hiss him. A moment's hush. Clyst. 'Twasn't I. Bobby. I never did. Gladys. Oh. Bobby, you did. You blew in my ear. Clyst. 'Twas the praper old wind in the trees. Did make a brave noise, Zuerly. Mercy. Ye shouldn't a let my skylark go. Clyst. Out of sheer contradictoriness, yes, ye should then. What do you want with birds of the air? They am no good to you. Ivy. Mournfully. And now he's going away. Clyst. Yes, 'tes a pity. He's the best man I ever seen since I was comin' from my mother. He's a good man. He got a zad face, sure enough though. Ivy. Good folk always have zad faces. Clyst. I knew a good man. He sold pigs. Very good man. He had a bootiful bright vase like the main. Touching his stomach, I was sad myself, once. 'Twas a funny scrabblin', like feelin'. Gladys. If he go away, was going to finish us for confirmation? Connie. The rector and the old grey mare. Mercy. I don't want no more finishin', I'm confirmed enough. Clyst. Yas, you am a beauty. Gladys. Suppose we all went and asked him not to go. Ivy. Toldn't be no good. Connie. Where's he goin'? Mercy. He'll go to London, of course. Ivy. He's so gentle. I think he'll go to an island, where there's nothin' but birds and beasts and flowers. Clyst. Aye. He am awful fond o' the dumb things. Ivy. They're kind and peaceful, that's why. Clyst. Ah. You see 2 praper old tom cats. They am not too peaceful, after that, nor kind neither. Bobby. Surprisingly, if he's sad, p'raps he'll go to even. Ivy. Oh. Not yet, Bobby. He's too young. Clyst. Following his own thoughts, yas? 'Tes a funny place, too, nowadays, judgin' from the papers. Gladys. Wonder if there's dancin' in even? Ivy. There's beasts, and flowers, and waters, and he told us. Clyst. Nah. There's no dumb things in even. Jim Barry says there is. He thinks his old cat's there. Ivy. Yes. Dreamily, there's stars, and owls, and a man playin' on the flute. Where 'tes good, there must be music. Clyst. Old brass band, shoon wonder, like Salvation Army. Ivy. Putting up her hands to an imaginary pipe. No, 'tis a boy that goes so, and all the dumb things and all the people go after him, like this. She marches slowly, playing her imaginary pipe, and one by one they all fall in behind her, padding round the barn in their stockinged feet. Passing the big doors, Ivy throws them open. And 'tes all like that in even. She stands there gazing out, still playing on her imaginary pipe. And they all stand a moment silent, staring into the moonlight. Clyst. 'Tes a glory be full moon tonight. Ivy. A goldy cup, a big one. And millions o' little goldy cups on the floor of even. Mercy. Oh. Bother even. Let's dance, clapperclaws. Wake up, Tibby. Gladys. Clapperclaws. Come on, Bobby, make circle. Clyst. Clapperclaws. I danced that one fine. Ivy. Taking the tambourine, see, Tibby, like this. She hums and beats gently, then restores the tambourine to the sleepy Tibby, who, waking, has placed a piece of apple in her mouth. Connie. 'Tis awful difficult, this one. Ivy. Illustrating, no, you just jump and clap your hands. Lovely, lovely. Clyst. Like ringing bells. Come on. Tibby begins her drowsy beating, Ivy hums the tune, they dance, and their shadows dance again upon the walls. When she has beaten but a few moments on the tambourine, Tibby is overcome once more by sleep and falls back again into her nest of hay, with her little shoed feet just visible over the edge of the bench. Ivy catches up the tambourine, and to her beating and humming the dancers dance on. Suddenly Gladys stops like a wild animal surprised, and cranes her neck towards the aid door. Connie. Whispering, what is it? Gladys. Whispering, I hear someone comin' across the yard. She leads a noiseless scamper towards the shoes. Bobby Jarland shins up the ladder and seizes the lantern. Ivy drops the tambourine. They all fly to the big doors, and vanish into the moonlight, pulling the door nearly to again after them. There is the sound of scrabbling at the hitch of the side door, and Strangway comes into the nearly dark barn. Out in the night the owl is still hooting. He closes the door, and that sound is lost. Like a man walking in his sleep, he goes up to the ladder, takes the rope in his hand, and makes a noose. He can be heard breathing, and in the darkness the motions of his hands are dimly seen, freeing his throat and putting the noose round his neck. He stands swaying to and fro at the foot of the ladder, then, with a sigh, sets his foot on it to mount. One of the big doors creaks and opens in the wind, letting in a broad path of moonlight. Strangway stops. Freeing his neck from the noose, he walks quickly up the track of moonlight, whitened from head to foot, to close the doors. The sound of his boots on the bare floor has awakened Tibby Jarland. Struggling out of her hay nest, she stands staring at his whitened figure, and bursts suddenly into a wail. Tibby. Oh! Mercy! Where are you? I'm frightened. I'm frightened. Oh! Strangway. Turning, startled, who's that? Who is it? Tibby. Oh! A ghostie. Oh! Strangway. Going to her quickly, it's me, Tibby, Tib only me. Tibby. I see the ghostie. Strangway. Taking her up, no, no, my bird, you didn't. It was me. Tibby. Burying her face against him, I'm fright. It was a big one. She gives tongue again, oh! Strangway. There, there. It's nothing but me. Look. Tibby. No. She peeps out all the same. Strangway. See. It's the moonlight made me all white. See. You're a brave girl now? Tibby. Cautiously, I want my apple. She points towards her nest. Strangway carries her there, picks up an apple, and gives it her. Tibby takes a bite. Tibby. I want any tambourine. Strangway. Giving her the tambourine, and carrying her back into the track of moonlight. Now we're both ghosties. Isn't it funny? Tabby. Doubtfully, yes. Strangway. See. The moon's laughing at us. See? Laugh then. Tabby, tambourine in one hand and apple in the other, smiles stolidly. He sets her down on the ladder, and stands, holding her level with him. Tabby. Solemnly, I see, still frightened. Strangway. No! Full moon, Tibby! Shall we wish for it? Tabby. Full moon. Strangway. Moon! We're wishing for you. Moon, moon! Tibby. Moon, we're wishin' for you. Strangway. What do you wish it to be? Tibby. Bright new shillin'. Strangway. A face. Tibby. Shillin', a shillin'. Strangway. Taking out a shilling and spinning it so that it falls into her pinafore, see. Your wish comes true. Tibby. Oh. Putting the shilling in her mouth, Moon's still there. Strangway. Wish for me, Tibby. Tibby. Moon. I'm wishin' for you. Strangway. Not yet. Tibby. Shall I shake my tambourine? Strangway. Yes, shake your tambourine. Tibby. Shaking her tambourine. Mune, I'm shaking at you. Strangway lays his hand suddenly on the rope, and swings it up onto the beam. Tibby. What do you do that for? Strangway. To put it out of reach. It's better. Tibby. Why is it better? She stares up at him. Strangway. Come along, Tibby. He carries her to the big doors, and sets her down. See. All asleep. The birds, and the fields, and the moon. Tibby. Mune, Mune, we're wishing for you. Strangway. Send her your love, and say good night. Tibby. Blowing a kiss, good night, Mune. From the barn roof a little white dove's feather comes floating down in the wind. Tibby follows it with her hand, catches it, and holds it up to him. Tibby. Chuckling, Luke. The Mune sent a bit o' love. Strangway. Taking the feather, thank you, Tibby. I want that bit o' love. Very faint comes the sound of music. Listen. Tibby. It's Miss Willis, playin' on the piano. Strangway. No, it's love, walking and talking in the world. Tibby. Dubiously, is it? Strangway. Pointing, see. Everything coming out to listen. See them, Tibby. All the little things with pointed ears, children, and birds, and flowers, and bunnies, and the bright rocks, and men. Hear their hearts beating. And the wind listening. Tibby. I can't hear, nor I can't see. Strangway. Beyond, to himself, they must be, I swear they are. Then, catching sight of Tibby's amazed eyes, and now say goodbye to me. Tibby. Where you goin'? Strangway. I don't know, Tibby. Voice of mercy. Distant and cautious. Tibby. Tibby. Where are you? Strangway. Mercy calling, run to her. Tibby starts off, turns back and lifts her face. He bends to kiss her, and flinging her arms round his neck, she gives him a good hug. Then, knuckling the sleep out of her eyes, she runs. Strangway stands uncertain. There is a sound of heavy footsteps. A man clears his throat close by. Strangway. Who's that? Kramer. Jack Kramer. The big man's figure appears out of the shadow of the barn. That you, sir? Strangway. Yes, Jack. How goes it? Kramer. 'Tis empty, sir. But I'll get on somehow. Strangway. You put me to shame. Kramer. No, sir. I'd be killin' myself if I didn't feel I must stick it, like you, Zaid. They stand gazing at each other in the moonlight. Strangway. Very low, I honor you. Kramer. What's that? Then, as Strangway does not answer, I'll just be walkin', I won't be gain' 'ome tonight. 'Tis the full moon, lucky. Strangway. Suddenly, wait for me at the crossroads, Jack. I'll come with you. Will you have me, brother? Kramer. Sure. Strangway. Wait, then. Kramer. Aye, sir. With his heavy tread, Kramer passes on. And Strangway leans against the lintel of the door, looking at the moon, that, quite full and golden, hangs not far above the straight horizon, where the trees stand small, in a row. Strangway. Lifting his hand in a gesture of prayer, God, of the moon and the sun, of joy and beauty, of loneliness and sorrow, give me strength to go on, till I love every living thing. He moves away, following Jack Kramer. The full moon shines, the owl hoots, and someone is shaking Tibby's tambourine.